Hello and welcome back. In today's AI Product Engineer show, we are reviewing a new AI tool. Today we have Qodo. What is Qodo? For whom is Qodo for? Let's give it a look. So, let me here first share a screen to show you. If you see, Qodo is a what they say it is generate confidence, not just code. Quality first AI code generation that help busy devs write, test, and review code. At first glance, it might be that we heard this before. Someone say, hey, this sounds a little bit like Copilot, GitHub Copilot, or I can already do something like this using ChatGPT, Claude Anthropic, maybe like a Sonnet model, Gemini, and so on and so forth, right? It seems that if there is something in the space are AI tools. So how is Qodo different? Well, let's start by giving a look at what the website says. We can see that it seems the focus is on not just code generation, not just a code tag snippet, but looking at code integrity, meaning there has to be quality. It has the impact, the whole development pipeline. For example, having test generation, test coverage, and just in general, the whole planning experience, basically the whole life cycle, which is much more than just writing some line of codes. And here is where we start to see some divergence, some differentiation already with other popular tools in the space, because a copilot doesn't really help you to prepare PR or do some testing and so on. Also, for example, thinking about pull requests, generating descriptions, the reviews, highlighting any issues, code, and so on. All that is something that out of the box, your classic code generation tool does not provide. You might be saying, but hey, in fact, in theory, I can do that with ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. I just need the copy paste and that's it, right? There is not much more. Well, let's give it a look, right? So let's go here, get started. We will be using PyCharm. If we go here, okay, we accept it all. Let's get it. We first choose the version, here December. Once we have it, we select here the IDE. We'll go for PyCharm because we're doing the Python project. We have PyCharm Professional. And in the IDE, let's go to our IDE, right? So it says, so we go to the IDE settings, plugins, I guess. I must say I'm not like a plugin person, so as you can see, I don't have that many plugins installed, and likely we have to install it locally, right? So in plugins, we have a click plus and install from disk. So do we see this? Hmm. So here, install plugin from disk, right? So really helps. So now we go to our downloads folder. Okay, so how to allow it. We see here we have Qodo. Yes, we accept the third party is installing. It asks for restarting the IDE. Well, just do that. It will restart the IDE. And now it seems, well, it looks like we have now installed. We have to sign in or create an account. I don't know how an account is first time I'm using it. Let us use, what should we use? Let us use Google, right? So let us use, so here, Google, we copy paste this URL, we choose our account, we accept, all of a sudden not found. Well, let's copy paste this URL. Hmm. Interesting that we're getting this not found, right? It's always the challenge when you're testing new products and so on that sometimes they do not do whatever we want. Let us see. Can we have now, how can we here have a way to log into Code Gen? Let's see if we just use GitHub, right? Maybe with GitHub might be easier. All right, so you're done. Well, it seems it installed. So for the future, better use GitHub, your GitHub account, instead of trying with Google, whatnot. We can see that we have on the left side a chat. There is a chat. We also have the overview from PyCharm, and we have here a current file. So it says how to generate tests with Qodo Gen. So we use Qodo Gen, test this. In the bottom inlay about a recognized Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, and so on, right? Or we can use also the logo. So for example, so here, Qodo Gen test panel, right? And generate tests. So let's start easier. So what's that we have here? We have a project I'm working on, an open source project for Python. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm trying to modernize a wrapper for FMMPG, which is this popular open source library for video manipulation, because we love manipulating video, right? And let's see if we can do something with it, because one of the challenges that I have, or my tasks, is to migrate this version that it was developed for Python 2.7 and migrate it to more Python and so on. So let's see, for example, just this DAG file, right? Have this one DAG here. So that Qodo, I want to bring the Qodo plugin somehow. Here, Qodo. Let's do the chat here. And let us, for example, so here the commands. We can ask for generate a doc string. We can also ask for generate, we can ask for generating best practices for this project. Also find on GitHub this one of best practices. Sounds interesting because it's exactly what we want. We have this older, more legacy version of this project, and we want to bring it for in a modern Python version. So let us do that. Let us use generate best practice for this project. So here, let's run it. Hmm. I wonder now. I thought I had already executed it, right? We had here. Let's try again. Generate. Here, generate best practice, so it appears. Let's click and run it. I wonder now, where is it generating it? Is it creating a separate file? Is it adding it as a comments here and so on? I'm not sure I see it. But also, what I ask myself is, I don't recall ever setting instructions for which LLM I want to use. Are we using the Qodo LLM? Are we using maybe a third-party LLM? I do not really see it at the moment. So let us somehow here, I don't know where is it being created, but let's try something else. Let's just do here. Let's do improve, right? So here, let's say improve class DAG node, right? So here we are giving the indication. We can see that now things are happening. The class DAG node is this one that we have that creates a very traditional acyclical graph, a direct acyclic graph. It creates that. And anyone who has done a type of like pipelining and data pipelining, etc., is familiar with that. We can already see, let's see if we can here, look at the results. So it already proposed a set of recommendations. So it says, replace the list concatenation with plus equal in this function get incoming edges, well, the method get incoming edges, get outgoing edges with append, the improve performance. There's this one. It also asks to replace a mutable list, add type hints. I agree. One reason why I want to migrate from Python 2.7 to Python 3.13 is they have extensive typing. Then cache the hash, use collections. So it's interesting because, of course, some of these suggestions, it is something where I would have said, yes, I will do it anyway. But now the question is, for example, what happens? What happens if I just do the same with any LLM, right? Let's try that. I'll just copy paste this class, very classic, as most developers work. Let's copy paste this and let's try it in different LLMs. So first, let us do here ChatGPT, where I will say, let's say like provide a list of suggestions for this Python class below. The suggestions should be best practices in modern Python. And we saw that we're getting not only the suggestion, but also for which function or method this is being the case. And what else are we getting here? We're getting also the line number. So let's have the same. The suggestions should not only have the specific change, but also you should provide the function or method that modify, as well as the line where is it located, right? Let's see what happened with different ones. So here, and let's use just a delimiter. So here, class. Let's also do the classic of saying that, so the let me say top Python developer. So here, so you are a top Python senior engineer, expert in refactoring and managing complex engineering projects. Yeah. So let's copy so we can paste it in other LLMs. Let's see what is it that we're getting. So it has suggestions for modernizing. It says replace object inheritance. Line 10, class DAG node. Let's quickly look at that, right? So often LLMs, they're not that good with numbers. So I'm not even sure if line 10 corresponds. So here, for example, you can see that it's referring to the class DAG node. This is line 8. Line 10 is an empty space, right? So it's already something that is not exactly correct. So the fix, you say they use class DAG node like this, instead of how we have here that we are inheriting from object, right? Because it's unnecessary in Python 3, everything inherits from object. So indeed, the recommendation is there, but where is it located? This is not correct. Type hints, we also got it from the other one. We have here some examples. There is a refactoring for hash, we also saw it as well. And this other, so here function methods. A data class is suggesting a factor, consistent representations. In total, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it provides some other benefits. Let's look at Claude quickly. So if we do the same in Claude, what are we going to get? Here also is always a recommendation. Always test across different service providers. Do not stick to a single one because the type of recommendation or result that you may be getting might differ greatly. So let us see the next thing. We see that it's generating quite fast and also it's generating a significant number of suggestions. Now we have, was that an eight suggestions. So the first one, class structure and inheritance. Same one that we have here, right? The diagonal one. But here again, it's making the mistake, right? Line 19 to 89. What's that? Is so the whole range. But if we see the class actually starts in line 8. So here's suggesting that instead of inherited from object, we use an abstract method. So it's a very different approach. Maybe like in Qodo. So if you look at Qodo here in the chat, is it recommending anything specifically? So here. It is not suggestions as far as I can see. Let's put for get more suggestions, right? Let's see what will suggest for the class DAG node. If it say just drop the object or it suggests an abstract recommendation. So here it is generating something, of course, that is always important to highlight is just this back and forth between apps and so on. It's always much better when you're staying in the same application and you're not going elsewhere. Sure, for some, it is not an inconvenience, just copy paste here and there, but we lose productivity. We have other suggestions, but it doesn't seem that we don't have that one. Let's see quickly what else we get. Okay, some implementations, type hints. Again, from what I can see is that Claude gets the line numbers pretty much wrong. What I like is just the is nice formatting. But yeah, so we get some recommendations. Let's see here Gemini. What is it that we get? With Gemini Advanced. So here, all of these are the premium versions of the respective providers. ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini were all on their subscription plans. So here is the best that each of them offer. And we can see how Qodo offers not only very similar results, but also just this benefit of line numbers. This again, a massive benefit, especially when we have huge files, huge projects, not to look back and forth. So now it suggests type hints. The different functions that we have, let's see that if, so we see, okay, the DAG age. So here, it's suggesting that we use a data class, line 55. Let's see quickly which one will that be according to the line 55. So it is this one that is erase not implemented error. So again, all of them got wrong which line we should be looking at. This comprehension, F strings. Also, most of these suggestions, they just basically say migrate the latest version of Python, right? So F strings, so a recent implementation, use data classes, also recent implementation relatively, and so on and so forth. Another thing that we also, of course, can get is just here. Let's say like here, the docstring, generate a docstring. Let's say docstring for class, well, which one is this one? DAG node, for class DAG node. Let's see what is it that we're getting. So it says for class DAG node, so we have here one that we include is one, the not implemented error. Interesting. So it's suggesting that we include, because we of course here have already a documentation, right? So it's already some things here. And it is recommending us that we include this one that we didn't have it. Let us see what happens if we now do the same in these services. So let us ask directly, generate now the doc string for this class. So now we are getting what seems to be a partial implementation, but at the same time, we see that we lost some detail. So to replace what we have is providing so set of attributes and so on. Let's see for the others. So here is arguing that it's providing a concise summary. Let's see here. Generate now the doc string for this class. Another aspect to consider is how fast are we getting these responses? And also if we prefer speed over quality. We see that the speed for generation that Qodo is providing is very high. It's a very fast response time. And also, we don't even know which model we're using behind, right? So if it's like a proprietary one or it's an open source one. We have now the result from Claude. We see that is providing here the doc string. This one here, nicely, it preserved our visual representation that we had here in our original version. So here, if I show you, we see how we kept this one here, whereas Cool Gemini just completely ignored it. And it provides a rather detailed implementation. So let's do quickly ChatGPT. Yeah, so and maybe we can look at another option across Qodo and then discuss maybe like some pros and cons of using Qodo. We see that, of course, ChatGPT can generate it. It's also preserving here our little diagram or our little visualization. I would say that ChatGPT right now is generating a bit slower than, for example, Claude. But also a challenge with LLMs in these cases is this is never representative. I have many instances where Claude is very slow and ChatGPT is very fast and the other way around. So always take it with a grain of salt whenever someone is claiming speed and so on, because maybe right here and now you may be seeing something, but later when you try it, might be a very different result. So we see that we got also here a doctrine generation. One challenge, of course, here, and the benefit of tools such as Qodo is right now we're passing these instructions, these prompts, but we're not making really an effort for providing the best possible prompt for each of these LLM. We are not optimizing these prompts. And in the end, this should not really be the task of a developer. Think, which prompt should I be using? And am I doing the best possible prompt and so on? There are so many tips and tricks. Whereas here, what we're seeing with Qodo is how we have this quick autocomplete that already suggests things that we can use and is likely using the best possible prompt for the problem at hand. Let's see if we can have something. So he'll explain. So let's see, explain what this class is doing. And let's take maybe like the entire file, right? Let's see, entire file. I see also now that the doc string here was generated only for a very small subset of, so here the file. So now we'll try again and see what is it, right? So here, explain what this class is doing. You'll see here for the explanation. So it's providing us a rather detailed explanation. So it says key functionalities, edge management, node properties, and so on. So here also exploring the visualization. Let us do now the docstring, right? Docstring for this class. Let's do this and see now that we have the entire file. Also very practical because if, as we're seeing, the other LLMs struggle providing specific line numbers. If now we were to say, look at only these lines, let's say 10 to the 20, likely they will also fail. And with Qodo, we don't get that. So now that we have the generation for the entire file, we got something that covers the different methods and also the attributes. But here it remained more on the concise side. It didn't provide the diagram that we had, and it is less verbose than, for example, Claude that was quite verbose. Is this something better or worse? Well, it's up to you to decide. So, with that in mind, for whom is Qodo for? Should be using Qodo? Let's go back to the website and see what they have to say, right? So, benefits of Qodo. So here, if we go to the bottom, we can see, for example, Qodo versus ChatGPT4 right now, what we're working with, right? And we can see that, for example, all the topic of testing, right now we didn't write any tests, but I can well see it because testing requires a significant understanding of the project. And already with one single class, some of these LLMs were having some issues, whereas Qodo seemed to be doing fine. Then, of course, this back and forth between IDE and browser window, multiple calls, multiple functionalities, fit for protein novice. What we're saying, if we want to get good results with an LLM, we really need to be very good at prompting. Many developers are not or do not want to be. You don't need to be. Why should be? But then with Qodo, you don't have to. And we have also like best practices. What we're also discussing, given that Qodo is encoding these prompts in the interface, we can just focus on the problem. We never need to think, is this the best possible prompt? Am I doing the best possible option? And of course, things that happen when you have an active project that is evolving, right? That so the self-healing code change, etc. Every time that I change something, I need to go back and forth. So, for whom then is Qodo and should be using Qodo? Well, the fact that you can start for free is a no-brainer to start using Qodo. You have to go to qodo.ai, Qodo.ai, download it. Now we try for PyCharm, but there's also for VS Code. And definitely, this will be something that will accelerate you. And compare the other offers on the market where you have to pay. Here can you start for free, get the results that you want, and even if you don't write tests, because not everyone writes tests. For example, if you're more writing simple scripts, or you're more like on the data science and your code doesn't really require safe testing for whatever reason, doesn't matter because still with Qodo, you can do all the relevant aspects of the software engineering process, such as the doc strings, such as refactoring and improving your code and so on. Have you heard about Qodo? Have you tried it? Well, let me know. So share it in the comment section. And remember, this is the AI product engineer. We're the community building the AI products of the future. Until next time.